Hey, welcome back to another episode of Embrace Your Brand. And today I really feel this tug and this pull to discuss integrity in business, integrity in branding. Um, just because so many things that I've been talking to my family about, to friends of mine, and even just thinking about in my own business, as well as the part-time job I have as a accountant for an insurance company, there is such a need for true integrity in doing business today. And it's one of those things, it's like I don't know, an injustice sometimes that will bug me. I'm sure there are things that get maybe on your nerves, or there's just these little injustices that you're like, they really trigger me. And I feel like this is something that really triggers me. And because it does, I am so much more conscious and aware of how this is actually impacting my business, but also how I am utilizing and standing in integrity with my business, how I conduct myself with me personally. Um, and to kind of give you some examples, I was just talking with a friend today about this of how, sometimes we will get in these conversations with people and they're like, yes, I need your service. I really could use help with my business. I need my website. I need my logo. I need all this stuff. And they're like, I need all these things. I need your help. We take the time to set up a call with them. We discuss with them what their needs are. We build out a proposal for them or tell them, hey, here's our pricing. And we kind of leave it in their ball court. And then it's quiet. It is so quiet. Days, weeks, or months go by and we're like, what happened to them? They had such excitement and they had such a need. It seemed like they were, really ready for this. And then they kind of ghosted us. And here's the thing, it has nothing to do with us because we are there, we're ready to serve, but it has to do with them. They got scared away. That figure was not in their price point. They maybe were not all in and committed to doing this for their business, even though they needed it. And so I'll just say, I've totally been there. I've totally been guilty of hey, wanting to talk to somebody and getting all the details and feeling like I'm so ready. And then they hit me with, here's the proposal. Here's how much it's going to be. And I'm like, I don't have that in my budget right now. I don't know if I can afford that. But yet, here's the question. How can you afford not to? If it's something you truly need for your business, how can you afford not to? But let me take this a step further. I have really begun to see this pattern in how I sometimes was using this, how I had seen people doing this. And I realized, okay, if I'm going to approach someone who has a service that I know would be fantastic in helping me with my business, how am I approaching them? Am I communicating that, hey, I just need to ask you questions? I know this is something that could amplify my business. This is a service I could really use. Let me be straightforward with you on what my budget is. I may not have this budget right now, but I just want to ask you some questions. What does this look like? What does this entail? And get a good picture so that I have information moving forward if I still feel this is a line for me. And I've even had conversations with people of hey, I kind of know what you do. I want to know some more about it. Is this something that could help me? And get a feel for that person just in talking about my business with them to know, okay, is this someone I want to talk to on a regular basis that I feel like is going to be a good fit to help me with my business? So I'm doing that research, but I'm letting them know upfront, hey, I don't know if I can afford your services, or here's what number I think and I know I can afford, so that they're not taking me through their sales process just for me to end up ghosting them and being like, oh, well, thank you. And I'm like, I don't want to ghost them because I don't want that to happen to me. I want to treat people the way that I would like to be treated in my business by people. And so if they take the time to discuss what it is that they do, if they take that time to send me a proposal like, hey, here's what it's going to cost, here is all the things I will be willing to do for you and help you with in your business. And I know that they're going to have that integrity about helping me because I'm going to see that in the process right then and there. As they're talking with me, as they're willing to share, as they're willing to learn about me, I'm going to see what their integrity looks like. I'm going to see what their method looks like. Because here they have me, a potentially hot lead who's coming to them asking for their advice, for their feedback, for their potential service. That's a hot lead. If you got somebody asking you for your services, that is a hot lead. How you treat them is going to be an indication of what it's going to be like for them to be your client. So you want that potential person to receive the same level of service they would receive when they are actually a paying client. If it is different, if you're like him hauling around, if you're, you know, late in getting stuff to them, if you're not on the ball about things, chances are they're going to see this is what it's going to be like working with them. They're going to not send me things as I need it. They're not going to be well put together. They're not going to be on time about things. They're going to be missing a deadline and saying, oh, I'm so sorry. Now I'll get this up. It's like how you treat them before they're ever a client is indicative of the way that they're going to be treated when they are a client. So that's why it's important in the branding process when you're just establishing a relationship with customers, when you're interacting with potential clients, that they get the same level of service as would a paying client, that they get to see exactly a mirrored version of what that's going to be like. There's no difference in how you're treating them before and how you're treating them during. You're showing them the same level of quality. And I feel like this happens so much better when you yourself are truly committed to the service you're offering. You're truly committed to a higher standard for yourself rather than hoping your clients meet a certain standard. When we focus on what standard we set for ourselves and how we operate in our business, the right clientele are going to come. I know in the past, when my own standard was not high enough, that I attracted a lot of people who weren't in a good spot. I had a client that I worked for that threw up a lot of red flags that I ignored because I thought, okay, I thought they were at a level of standard that would be great for me. They could be a good paying client, but I missed because my standards weren't high enough. The fact that there were red flags that I should have been like, okay, I'm sorry, I cannot work for you. And here's why. Or just left it at, I'm sorry, I cannot work for you, but I can refer you to someone who can help you or who might be willing to help you. But because I ignored those, then that has taught me lessons of these are things I need to look for and avoid in the future because I do not want to be working with this type of client. They're not truly invested and committed to their business because they're not truly committed and investing in me as a service provider for their business. So I hope you're kind of seeing how that plays out. We have to set the example and the model of the type of relationship, of the type of integrity that we want the people working with us to have. And the client that I was talking about that I had that was not at this high enough standard was one, I was learning in my business at this point. So there's things that I did not do properly. I was like so excited to do work for her because she was ready to go. She needed a logo, she needed this and that. And I was ready to just jump in and do the work. I forgot I did not send her a contract before jumping into the work. Thankfully, she did pay me for the work, but it was after that I was like, hey, I really need this contract with you. She never signed it. And so she never signed it. Things went quiet for a while. She reached back out and was like, hey, I'm ready to get back into this. I need something done. I need some concepts made for some packaging. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can help you with that. I did not revert back to the fact that she had not signed her contract months ago. I should have. Instead, I was just like willing to give and help her out. So the work I did was something that she has not paid for to this day. She has kind of ghosted me again. And I'm thinking, okay, these are red flags that I need to avoid. And I'm not working in integrity because I'm allowing this to happen. I was allowing myself to work for someone who is not in integrity with how they were working with a service provider, how they were working inside their business. I understand we have things going on when it comes to like family, life situations, but when we use those as excuses for not doing things that we know we should do in our business, I feel like that causes a problem. Now, if I genuinely know that, okay, hey, I've got this coming up and I'm supposed to be working with this person or I'm supposed to be paying this person, and I know that I can't do that, that my family situation is not going to allow for it, my financial situation is not going to allow for it. I have the decency to go ahead and reach out to the person and just be like, hey, I know that we had talked about this, and here's what I have to do. I have to say no to this right now. It's just not the right timing for me. If it is in the future, I'll reach back out. And there have been times that like I've actually had to do this where I'm like, I know we planned for this day to do this work together, and I need to cancel this. Is that okay? I know we hadn't signed, and I hadn't signed the contract yet. We were able to make that shift, that negotiation where I dropped the need for their service. I didn't have that money in my budget to do it then, and they were okay with that. They understood. I was totally upfront with them with where I was and what was going on because that's what I would want someone to do for me. I did have another person, a VA that I temporarily hired, and I was like, kind of putting it off for a little bit. But then I was like, I know that I told him I would do this. I had this gut feeling like I'm not ready for this, but I did it anyway. And so I signed the contract, and it was a good thing because it taught me a lesson of the fact that I signed that contract and said yes, even though I was like, I need to push off our start date. She's like, that's fine. She's like, but since you have already signed the contract, you still need to pay. And I'm like, okay. I wasn't ready. I wasn't at the good time. And I'm like, there's my lesson. Do not sign anything. Do not commit to anything until I know that I am totally committed and full on to do this. So I felt like I was really scrambling to try to get things ready for her. And I'm like, I knew this was a bad idea, but I'm going to see it through. I'm going to see this month through that I paid for. And so this is what I mean, like just little bitty things. And it really it's the integrity on the little bitty things that you're doing inside of your business that compound onto your brand and tell people what type of business person you are, what type of business you are. And it gives that reputation of what it's like to work with you, what you are like as a person. And I don't know about you, but I hope that, like me, you want to build a really good reputation because, like, I've been reading Proverbs over and over a lot lately. And so many times it has a saying there, it's like a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. Like, don't just be in your business for the money. Be in it to build up a good name. And that was even something that was taught to me by my father with his business. And, I won't forget, I think he used this phrase once like, if it's not at the certain standard, it doesn't go out the door. He made parts for companies for like machine maintenance and so forth. And it's like, okay, they had a blueprint of what they were supposed to make. It had specs. They had to um, check the specs against the part that was made. They had to, do all their tolerance checks and all these different things to make sure this part was up to a certain standard before they would put a tag on it and send it to the customer. If it was not up to that standard, they weren't going to send it because they didn't want their part with their name on it to give them a bad reputation. If it wasn't up to integrity, well, the people that got it, they knew. And I even heard from at least one of the people they did business with. He came in the office one day and he's like, I choose to do business with you guys because I know when I get a part, I don't have to send it back. I don't have to send it back to get something modified, to get something changed because it's not up to the standard of the print. He's like, I do business with you guys, even though you charge a little bit more than some others, because I know that I'm going to get a quality part, that I'm going to get exactly what I'm paying for. And I'm not going to have to waste more time going back to the vendor that I bought this from and saying, hey, this is wrong with it. It's not fitting right. I need you to redo it, and cause me more hassle. So I want you to think about that in your business. And I'm even going to think about that in my business of what am I putting out there? Like literally, I have got this dialogue in my head now sometimes as I'm making a graphic for somebody or as I'm building out, a landing page or a logo or whatever it is. It's like as I'm doing it and I'm creating it and I sit back and think, would I put my name on this? If other people saw this, would I feel proud that my name was on this? If I can't say yes to that, I need to do more work. If I can't hand this over and be like, oh, I love it. I feel so good and excited about it. And I can't wait to put this out there and know that, okay, people are going to look at this and say, Laura Glass did this. This is from Laura Glass. If I want people to come to me for something that I did, I want to make sure that they're already seeing something of high quality. So if it's a graphic, if it's a landing page, if it's a logo, I want to make sure that I'm really happy with it, that I'm really excited about it, that I feel like I've done it out of really good integrity, that I've done my best, and then send it to my client, get their feedback, and then, I leave it in their hands after that. If they want to say, hey, Laura Glass did this for me, fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that. However, if I were to create something, design something, and then I rush through it just to get it done because I'm like, hey, I really need to invoice this client. I need to get some money in my account. I'm just trying to get it done. And, it's okay. It could be better. And I'm just like, I just need to get it done and get it gone. And I send it to my client and they put it out there and publish it. And then if I see it and I'm like, I could have done so much better, then there's a problem with that. I would almost feel embarrassed if I sent something like that and thought, I could have done a better job on that. I should have given myself more time. That is where I would lack integrity in my business because I didn't put my best out there. And if I'm going to build a good reputation, if I'm going to build a really good brand and be known for great design, for helping people with their strategy on their brand, I'm going to make sure that what I tell people, that what I create for people is something I would proudly put my name behind. Because truly, that is what I'm doing. I'm putting my stamp, my logo, my name on this stuff that I'm creating that's going out there somewhere in the world, that is going to be a page that my client is going to be sending people to, that, another client may be handing out brochures or business cards or something with their logo on it. I want them to receive that praise or, comments or compliments about, wow, I really love how this looks. This looks so good. This looks like so professional. I want them to feel really good about that and get that feedback from the people that they're wanting to do business with. Because then, not only in their client's mind, but also in their mind, they're going to look at me and be like, I am so glad I hired her. I am so glad. I am so grateful that I paid and invested in her services because I feel really good about it. I'm getting great feedback on it. I'm going to feel really proud about having my name on that at that point. You could probably think about big popular brands out there now. If you've been, say, you've been a customer with Geico for years, and suddenly they don't stand behind you, or they've done something and you're like, really? They did that? I don't, that doesn't seem right. It wasn't out of integrity, where it doesn't seem to you like it's fair or that it's even good quality. You're probably going to all of a sudden decide, I'm going to go with a different company. Or let's say you hear on the news something about Target or Amazon or something that suddenly skews them in a bad light. You're going to think less about their entire brand that they've made than you had before. So, what you're doing in your business, you are building a good name for yourself. That is the reputation of your business. That is your brand. Your brand is the perception of others on your business, your service, your goods, whatever it is. So, I hope that you'll take from this just how can you implement more integrity in how you're interacting with potential customers, with current clients within your business, and also how are you structuring your product or service to be of utmost integrity, something that you are so proud to put your name behind. On a tangent, what really just sometimes irks me is, you know, the get rich quick type schemes where they're just like, I'm just wanting to sell a lot of this product and it's real cheap. Like if you go to dollar stores, I'm like, I love hate dollar stores because sometimes it's like I want to buy something because I don't want to pay a lot of money for it, but I just know it's so cheap it's going to fall apart in a matter of days if it's or a matter of like probably hours if it's a kid. If it's one of my kids buying something cheap from a dollar store, I'm like, I already know you're going to break that within a few hours of getting it home. It's going to be no good. I'm going to be throwing it in the trash. And I knew it because I was buying it cheap. Yet there's like such a rampant amount of those things that we're just throwing it away. When you buy something cheap, you end up throwing it away. And I want more businesses, not to just make things cheap to keep making some dollars, but to make things out of integrity that are going to last for a lot longer than a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Like, does anybody else agree we need to bring back solid wood furniture? Because all this MDF and cheap stuff is falling apart on us. But this is where, if we don't set the example, other businesses aren't going to do this. Yes, it may cost more, but look at the longevity. I'd rather something last me a long time than I have to keep replacing it. I'd rather work with someone for a long time doing a really good job in their business than having to keep changing up who I'm working with, who I'm serving, because, well, they got a logo. They're not happy. They're going to go with someone else and get another logo, hoping it's better quality or that they got better service. I don't want that to happen. I want them to come to me and get such a great service and quality that whoever they worked with in the past, they're like, oh, I don't need to go anywhere else now. I've got someone who's working in integrity and giving me a great product and a great service. And I want to keep coming back. I want to keep sending people to them because, hey, I had such a great experience. This is what makes a great business. It's when you really stand in integrity with what you're doing inside and outside of your business. And it comes down to you as a person. You have to operate this. You have to operate at this higher standard for yourself, because then it will flow out into the way you're doing your business. And it all stems from really just becoming aware. If you're not aware of it now, practice becoming aware of it. Ask yourself the questions. How am I operating in my business? How do I show up in my service? But even more importantly, how do I show up in receiving other people's services? Am I one of their clients that goes weeks or months without checking in, or ask questions but I never commit? How are you as a customer? How are you as a client? And how are you as a business owner? Answer those questions for yourself. You'll see where there's any gaps in your own integrity. And that's where you start working. Because when you really start working on those little bitty things, you'll find ways to incorporate more integrity and authenticity into your own business and brand. And when you do that, you start finding the unique differentiating factor in your brand and your business. When you start having this prolific quality output, as Brendon Burchard calls it, his PQO. And I love that. I'm going to go on a tangent on that. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to keep this to the point. But when you put out a quality output in your service, in the way that you are living and doing and working all these things as a business owner, that's where that differentiation between a lot of the people in your industry happens. That's where you truly become your own brand and you stand out. So embrace integrity. I encourage you to embrace your brand in full integrity. That is something that is going to be such a resounding keyword coming in 2024, because 2024 is the launch of Embracing Excellence. It is a hybrid program that I'm putting out. It has to do with super integrity. We are going to be embracing an excellent business brand together. How is it going to work in your business? How's it going to be in my business? It's going to be a test in my business of how I'm going to show up for you in this. And I've already sent out an email to my email list about this, and it is, to explain it in a couple of words, Embracing Excellence is a combination of a mastermind, a coaching program, and also a design service. So you're getting 3 major components to help you with building your brand, your business, also helping you with your self-development, all together in one area. And it's not just going to be me. I am totally going to be bringing in some other specialists, some other experts in areas where, I'm not fully there yet, but I'm aspiring to. And this is a training just as much for you as it is for me, but I want to help you get there. We're going to level up together and build our businesses with a super amount of integrity, with excellence, because that's what we're embracing for 2024. So if you're along for the ride on that, by all means, get into my email list, get to know about the details. It's launching January 1st. Cannot wait for next year. I feel so pumped for all these great things. I'm already implementing so much in preparation for this, and I hope that you'll be along this journey with me. So get on my email list, stay in touch with everything. Hope you'll be here for the podcast, because the podcast, there are some upcoming episodes that really hone in on this. So much more, just helping you understand what your brand is so you can truly embrace it more every single day as you're doing business, as you're reaching for your goals, as you're pursuing your dreams, and as you're serving from a heart of true love and care for others in your business. So thank you so much for being here for this podcast episode, and I'll see you soon.